that the commission has taken a position on.
Do you want me to go over that?
Yes, if
okay.
you would.
I'll just go over the new stuff. So.
But the ones, yeah. But so they know that
What they've already.
some of these have already taken
Okay.
action on. Others, only the committee has taken
Okay.
action on.
Commission already voted to support at the March meeting AB 13.
Which number is that?
AB 13.
AB 13.
First one.
First one.
They've also done so for AB 19. The Legislative Committee voted to support with amendment AB 64. The Commission hasn't taken action on that yet. So,
But it's dead.
But it's dead.
well,
Maybe.
maybe. So, you know,
I think we better.
Yeah.
might as well. So that, and the committee supported the amendment by the Washoe County Public Defender to eliminate the revocation of license bill, part of that bill. AB 167, the commission has already voted to support that. The Legislative Committee voted to oppose as written AB 322, and the commission hasn't taken a position on that yet. AB 347, the Legislative Committee voted to support in concept, but with a recommendation to add the use of the money to be able to be used to help sage grouse against their predators and their habitat, and then to add a sunset provision after 4 years. Although I think that's dead, it might be worthy to just take a position in any event. ACR 3, the commission's already voted to support that. SB 56 is the commission voted to oppose it. SB 102, the commission voted to support it, but that was before the amendments. SB 08, you took no position. The commission voted to support SJR 4 and SJR 5, and that's all. The committee didn't take any positions on any other bills. So.
We didn't on 226, right? Yes, we did.
Yeah, you did. Sorry, I skipped that one.
Opposed it as it was written.
Right. It said Legislative Committee oppose until department is exempted. So.
Okay.
I would.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, since it's a resolution now, I would just suggest leave it alone.
Wasn't there a 364? An AB 364? I don't remember. Thought that was on here before. Maybe it wasn't.
360.
I probably took that off.
Maybe I got my wrong.
Yeah.
Took that
I
off?
probably took it off. Let me look it up really quick here.
I got too many notes.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, do you have anything else you want to add then on that? You might stay here if you
Okay.
would, please, to answer some questions. There are several that that the Legislative Committee took action on that have been provided to the public through the email process and the like, so they're in the hands. One of them is AB 64, and I would propose...
We're having trouble hearing Mr. Capurro.
Same as Las Vegas as well.
I would propose that we take commission action to oppose AB 64, even though it may very well be dead. The problem we have with AB 64 is Section 22, which in effect could take away the parent's hunting license for the deeds of a child or youth. So there was a couple of amendments proposed by the Washoe County Public Defender and by a judge, if I recall correctly, both of which basically were to strip that section out, in effect. And I would propose that we would support, there are other parts to AB 64 that we have no interest in and shouldn't just oppose the bill because of Section 22. So what I would suggest to you is that we support amending AB 64 to eliminate section 22, which is that provision on the parent's hunting license. And I would move that as a motion.
All right, we need to have public comment on this before we get too far. And what I'd kind of like to do is I'd like to have public comment, and then I want us to go through the bills and simply state which ones we're going to have action on. So we need to exclude some of these, and that way we'll know, and then we can do that. So at this point in time, let's have public comment. Gil, you had number 16, 17 written down. This is your time. Nobody else wrote down a number, so.
It's okay. I think everything that Kim reported is fine with Carson and Cab.
Okay.
We're still moving on.
Anybody else? Come on forward. You got a card, just didn't say.
Hold on to that for a second. Is that the only other section?
Darrell Harwell, Washoe County, AB 64. We opposed it as we seek the removal of language in section 22, paragraph 5, sub A, be removed that calls for the future of the parent or guardian hunting or fishing license. The motion was carried. AB 167, we recommending that the support it. AB 322. Approve AB 322 as written with the removal of section 2, which negates input from the Nevada Board of Wildlife Commissions, the process director.
And section,
AB 340.
and section 4.
AB 347
And section 4 from your minutes.
to oppose. 347, SB 102, oppose it as written. SB 226, oppose it as written, is what Washoe County Advisory Board.
Okay. All right, Andito, what do you got?
I got that. We went Candido Mendy, Elko Cab. You probably got it in our minutes. We went through almost everything, but there were a couple that we had some discussion on that I want to bring out specifically. AB 322, we supported the dream tag and the conservation requirements, but we voted to ask the governor to consider input from the public, the cabs, and the commission on his appointment of director. And on 347, we opposed it. And those were the two that seemed to be bringing the most discussion. But you'll see that we addressed almost everything there. So unless you want me to go over each one of them, I assume that you'll read them in our action sheet.
I think everybody got that.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other public comment? Remember, this is 16 and 17, so as we're doing them concurrently. Las Vegas, do we have any comment? Public?
This is Paul Dixon, Chairman of the Clark County Wildlife Advisory Board. Like Candy, we sent you a list of the bills that we went through. I'd like to highlight two of them. We had a fair amount of discussion. One was AB 347. Basically, the bill to us appears to be very ill-conceived, and even though Kim indicated that it's probably dead at this point, the Clark County Advisory Board was displeased that the legislative committee was supporting this, even with changes, because it doesn't make any sense to have over-the-counter when we have a draw system. The next thing is AB 322. Here, like most other places, on AB 322, the Clark County CAB had a split recommendation. We believe having solid criteria for what we call a conservationist on our commission is probably a healthy thing, and having a set of rules of what's expected there keeps people from saying that somebody is or isn't what they want to have there. we were split or opposed to the fact that we felt that the cabs as well as the commission should have input to the governor on the appointment of the NDOW director. We don't believe that, even though that they do report to the governor and report at the sole discretion of the governor, and they are at-will employees, we feel that the public as well as the commission should have input to the appointment of that person because of the impact it has on our wildlife. As far as the dream tag goes, the Clark County CAB felt very strongly that the dream tag should be being administered by the commission, and it should not be moved to the Department of Wildlife for administering only. And finally, we had a discussion about AB 226, which is trapping in urban areas, and we're glad to see that the language has changed, because the change in language very much mirrors the exact discussion that Commissioner Macbeth, myself, Commissioner Schrum, and others had in that room when we talked to the people who were at our meeting, which, as I mentioned earlier, we had people from Wild Horse Advocacy, NoBearHunt.Nevada.org, and from the Humane Society, who were all saying that we should support SB 226, and I believe that the decision the legislature's headed down now is the right decision. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anything else from Las Vegas?
That's it.
Elko, we got anything from Elko?
No comment.
All right, Commissioner Vogler here yet? No. All right. So let's, if we could just list the bills that we're gonna, and
Can I?
yeah, if you could summarize what you'd like us to go over.
Okay, first of all, I summarized some of the CAB results on certain bills. Some of these, if they're dead, they're dead, as far as I'm concerned. There's no use wasting a lot of time.
We
on
just, yeah, which bills, and we
but I
don't,
wanted
without
to
a yes or no, just
Yeah, I
just
wanted to
what to
summarize
consider.
what the
Okay.
CABs had said, so we have
Okay.
on the record which bills they supported and which they didn't.
okay.
AB 167, which was the Quagga Mussel bill, you had Eureka, again, primarily because these are CABs that aren't here or didn't testify today, but we received their information.
Got it.
Eureka supported the Quagga Mussel bill, AB 167. So did Carson City. So did Washoe County. There was some discussion on adding felt soles to it, but I'm not sure what, because it's possible to carry Quagga mussels and that on the felt soles of waders. And Clark County also supported it. On AB 347, the commission has already taken action on 167. So, yes, sir.
Just for the record, Douglas and Elko also supported 167.
Okay, Douglas.
I tried to go through them too, and it's difficult to catch
Yeah, it is.
everybody in, so I'll chime in when.
Okay.
And I would hope you'd jump in if there's some others, because I may have left some of them off here and that. On AB 347, which at this point, unless for somehow or other it got an exemption, it's dead because it was not even heard by the deadline. The committee did take a position, a kind of a lukewarm position, because in concept, it was in concept that we supported it, but we knew there were huge problems with the bill. Number one, it just says 500 tags, potentially, as a for instance, because some of the biggest deer are taken in Lincoln County. You could have all 500 of those people hunting in Lincoln County. Also, the situation is such that there is a lot of concern out there among sportsmen and others about the pricing of this sort of thing, and that it was a first come first served type situation. So there were concerns with it, but we thought if it actually got a hearing, that we could maybe work with it and see if there anything coming out of it. At this point in time, I would suggest that the commission, because of the situation, take a position to oppose AB 347 as written. You want to take these as we come upon them? Or come
I'd kind of like to just go over, go over
Write down the list, okay.
We'll just get a list of which ones we want to actually vote on.
Okay, AB,
And then we'll go down.
AB 6, and I will not bring up the ones that the committee has already taken a position on because you've already heard that. AB 64, actually, it's not just section 22, it's section 32 that also is involved because later on in the bill, it references back to that section. So I would suggest that we take action. The Legislative Committee did oppose it as it was written. I would suggest that we support adding an amendment that would eliminate section 22 and section 32 from AB 64 if it goes any further than it is now. That would be a motion.
Okay. Just so we can get everything clear, I'd just like to make sure that all the commissioners have a chance. We can go through this and say, okay, we're going to vote on, and I just kind of like go through AB 13. Are we going to? Does anybody want to vote on this?
Mr. Chairman, we've already taken action as far as the commission is concerned. There's no use.
So we're not going to take any day on 13. Good. 19, we've already done it. We're not going to do it today. Right. Is that? And if any commissioner has a problem with that, we'll go ahead and we can deal with it. 37, we're going to vote on it today, yes or no?
37.
AB 37, that was the third one on the list she had.
Office hours.
Office hours.
No, there were several that the department was following, but we were not taking.
That's why, from our support material that way, I just want to scratch them off.
Okay.
64, yes, we want to talk about it. AB 159, we're not, yes, we want to.
It's dead.
So that means I'm Xing it. Let's see what I'm trying to do here. 167, we do want to vote on that, so we're going to go with it. 217, what do we want to do? Do we want to vote on it?
My suggestion is we not get into.
Does anybody want to vote on it?
Which one?
Okay, 217. Hearing nobody wanting to vote on it, we're going to scratch 217. Anybody want to vote on 307?
That's the energy bill, the one that requires the monitoring of the effects of certain energy developments.
We're going to vote on it? You want to vote on it?
I'm recommending we not take any action unless the department feels we should.
Want to vote on it?
Well, we currently review over 500 environmental documents a year. Of that, 103 are energy. Of that, 75 are renewable energy. We spend about $1 million plus a year and about 96% of that is sportsman's money, and you have a vested interest in that. The fees are problematic to the governor. The concept, I can tell you that every energy company's on board now, so it'll be interesting to see where that goes. I think it would be helpful to have the commission support the idea that some way we need to be able to support this work that's not all on the backs of the sportsmen.
The reason I hesitated, Mr. Mayor, was because of the fee thing and that. And frankly, I think we do have to show some support for issues that have an impact, fiscally have an impact on the department. So I have no problem with the bill. I've gone through it and looked at it. In my opinion, if that's the case, then if we were to support it, depending upon the, I don't know.
You can support the concept.
Maybe just support the concept and deal with the fee part of it later. That might be a good idea.
All right, so we want to consider 307.
Yes.
322, yes, we're going to talk about it. 329.
Yes.
Yes, we're going to talk about it. 342.
No, it's dead.
We're not going to talk about it. 347.
Dead.
Yes, we're going to talk about it. 359. No. 370. No. Unless I hear a yes. Somebody wants a yes on one of them, just spit it out. 378,
It's dead.
nobody wants to talk about it. 402, nobody wants to talk about it. 403,
Yes.
yes. 419, nobody wants to talk about it. 474, nobody wants to talk about it. 503, nobody wants to talk about it.
We had 3 cabs that did
Oh,
chime
yeah.
in on
Yes.
that.
Yeah, yes,
so-
yes. That's a yes, sorry.
so
I'm sorry. All right, 525,
She, Mr. Chairman, she did mention AB 479, but because that is basically affects the agencies and not the commission.
you want to talk about
we may not
479?
wanna- We may not want to
Okay.
get involved in it.
Same with 522.
522, don't want to talk about it?
no, we should talk about, don't you think?
If you,
522?
if you
Yeah.
want to talk about it, we'll talk about it, but we're just,
We'll talk about it real quick.
okay. And that's AB 522, let me add that to it. I mean, right now, we're just narrowing the list down, and then we can go back and figure out. 525, yes, we want to talk about it. 560, I hear no yeses, so that's gone. ACR 3,
Didn't, we already, the commission already took action.
so we don't want to talk about it. SB 40, don't want to talk about it. SB 56,
Dead.
Dead.
don't want to talk about it. 102, yeah, we should talk about it. Let's see. 108,
Dead.
dead, don't need to talk about it. 226, we should probably talk about it, huh?
Yep.
287, yep, we should talk about it. 359,
Yes.
yes, we'll talk about it. 400, anybody want to talk about 400? No, it's gone. 438, anybody? Nobody. It's gone. 446.
Although we are tangentially involved with SB 446, I'm not sure that it's enough to take any action on.
Okay, does anybody want to talk about it? I don't hear anybody wanting to talk about it. So 446 is gone. SCR 1.
Commission's already taken action on that.
So we don't need to talk about any more. Number 4.
Same way,
Same way. Number 5.
same way.
Does anybody want to talk about that anymore?
We've supported all
Already
three of those
supported that.
resolutions.
Okay.
And,
SJR 12 came up,
yes,
so we want to talk about it. Anything else that haven't read off here that we do indeed want to vote on? Up, down, or sideways? Okay. So now,
all right, so the first bill that I'm looking to make a recommendation on is with regard to AB 64, which is the truancy bill. And it would be to amend the bill, if it goes anywhere, to amend the bill to eliminate sections 22 and 32, which deal with the licensure issue of the adults. I'd make that a motion.
Second.
okay, it's been properly moved and seconded to approve of AB 64 with amendments of striking sections 22 and 32. Is that correct?
I don't know whether the word is approve the bill. It's that we would move to amend AB 64.
Move to amend it to strike,
striking
okay,
22
so
and
let
32.
me restate.
Is it,
Move to amend AB 64 to eliminate sections 22 and 32.
As it is.
Is that correctly stated?
Yes.
is it section 5A though?
Well, when you strike that section, that's the new language. When you strike the section, it doesn't change the existing law. So I think in the motion, it should be just say to strike section 22.
It's actually only 5A.
It is 5A is the new language, but
Oh, I see.
the rest of it doesn't make any sense if you don't strike the section.
And then all
because
of,
it all deals with the licensure.
and
Point of order,
all of
Mr. Chairman.
32.
Oh.
Are you going to eventually, some of these things that are being reintroduced, will you be taking public comment on some of those?
We took public comment. I mean, we're not really reintroducing, we just cut a bunch out.
No, but you're talking about amending, and there was no information provided to the cabs prior to this meeting that you were going to make such an amendment.
All right, we're continuing on. I mean, there's not a lot we can go with on that. We've got to do what we've got to do here. We've got to discuss and go over these bills. Yeah, I mean, this was on there originally. I mean, all these changes and things, that's what we've got to go over. And we've taken public input on the bill, and now we've got to move on with it. Okay. So we have a motion and a second on the floor. Commissioner Macbeth, did you gather that?
Could you repeat it?
All right. The motion is on AB 64 to amend the bill, eliminating sections 22 and 32. Did you need more explanation on the whys, or?
Just so I understand it, that removes the sections 5A, B, and D,
Yes.
and number 6 from section 22. In other words, what we've recommended.
That's
What was recommended by the committee.
I think that's, they're discussing things. We'll get you an answer in just a second.
Oh, neutral position on the bill.
That was by the committee.
I'm sorry.
All right, could you please restate your question, Mr. Macbeth?
By amending sections and to eliminate sections 22 and 32, we're basically just removing the offending language that parents won't lose their hunting licenses and the other things that we
I
discussed.
understand that. I just explained it. You don't. That's exactly right.
Correct.
Okay. You're just clarifying to clarify. All right, does everybody understand the motion on the floor? All in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Let's move on to AB 167 AIS.
Okay, the quagga mussel bill. Because of the governor's opposition to fees, he's, as she explained it, what they've done is to cap the fees up to $10.
We can't hear him in Elko.
I'm sorry. It's to cap the fees that would be on this sticker at $10 and remove the felony for the first conviction to a misdemeanor, and any subsequent violation would be a Class E felony. That's basically it.
And the First Amendment was agreed to by the governor's office
Okay,
at
up to
this
$10.
point. Right.
So
Okay, so make us a motion on this.
I would move that we accept the amendment to the Assembly Bill 167 that would cap the fees for the sticker at $10 and that removes or makes the felony apply only for the second violation or conviction of the act, and the first one would be a misdemeanor.
Second.
Okay, and just for clarification, would that be and then support the bill
Yes, sir.
with those amendments?
So it's already been amended,
It's
so
already
you're
been amended
saying you
to that.
support the
We're
amended
saying we
bill?
support the bill as it's been
Support
amended now.
as it has been amended.
Understand, it's still got to go through another side.
Another side and the governor. Okay. Commissioner Macbeth, did you gather that?
Yes, we got it.
All right. Everybody understand the motion? All in favor of that motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Commissioner Shrum is absent from the room. Let's move on to AB 307.
Again, AB 307 is the energy fee. This is with respect to the monitoring of the effects of energy development projects. Director Mayer has already explained to us that this has implications for the department. The fees might be a problematic as far as the governor's office, but we should support in concept the provisions of AB 307 without getting into the fee structure.
So, motion to support in concept, but what about the fees?
To not address the issue of fees at this point.
Yeah, the governor's given us instruction to be neutral on the fees.
Okay,
So-
then I guess change it to neutral on the fees.
But be neutral on the fees.
Yeah, they're problematic, so neutral on the bill. That's been our, but we've given a lot of testimony to talk about how the system works.
You weren't neutral on the bill itself, though, were you?
We were neutral on the bill,
On the bill?
yeah. Well,
Because of the fees.
Because of the fees.
Okay, so we
But
could
yet
support the
encouraged
bill,
it.
but be neutral on the fees that are included in it, and that would be my motion.
Or against the fees, or?
No, I don't want to do that.
The bill's going to be amended again substantially, I bet. So if you do concept, then that'd probably cover you.
Yes,
Support in concept, but be neutral on the fees, I believe is the motion.
right.
Can I make a statement, Scott?
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, wait, we need to, is there a second on the motion?
Second.
Okay. It's been moved by Commissioner Capurro, seconded by Commissioner Cavan, to support in concept AB 307, but be neutral on the fees. Okay, go ahead, Commissioner Macbeth.
I think we need to think about not being neutral on the fees. I think the statement made by Acting Director Mayer is that this is costing sportsmen $1 million a year to comply with these NEPA requests on all of these energy projects. And I understand the governor's concerns about raising fees, but these projects, these are very, very large projects, and they have a large impact on the habitat, and I believe that they need the information from NDOW, and to be able to support their NEPA analysis and their documents, and that doesn't come at cheaply. That our resources are being expended on this activity, and I feel strongly that we should be compensated for it because it's diverting funds from sportsman projects to benefit these energy projects. And my position would be that they should have to pay. They should have to pay just like any other developer pays, for getting approvals through government processes. This is something that we really need to think about.
Okay, so it's opposition to the bill. Go ahead.
I think we need to, I didn't ask the financial guy about the hard numbers here. So.
Okay, well, clarification, Mr. Cates.
Well, he was looking at me, but I didn't have the numbers off the top of my head. But it's we spend about $600,000 a year on project review. About $280,000 of that is related to energy projects, we estimate. And that's a combination of sportsman's dollars and PR grant primarily, a little bit of SWIG grant.
And so out of sportsman's, no, it's all sportsman's dollars one way or the other, whether it's feds or not.
The state matches licensed dollars.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, go ahead.
I completely agree with what Mr. Macbeth has said in his comments. And my personal belief is that we should support the fees that return the best bang for the buck for the sportsmen or for the people who are paying the bill. Our concern is that the administration has made it very painfully clear that there are some issues that they are not going to. They bent on the $10 fee for the sticker fee, but they apparently have not done so, at least at this point in time, relative to this fee. My suggestion is that, again, going back, that we support the bill in concept and be neutral on the fees at the current time. That we can certainly address this again through the legislative committee before this bill gets final disposition.
So we got a motion, a second on the floor. If it fails, we can come back and do something else. Everybody understand the motion?
Would you repeat that again?
It is to support AB 307 in concept, but be neutral on the fees.
At the present time.
At the present time.
Rain,
Yes.
I'd like to entertain a motion to amend the motion I'm basically in agreement on it, but with regard to the fees that we and I'll be honest with you, it's been a while since I looked at this legislation, and but I think we need to support the fees as originally proposed. That would be my motion.
I'll second that. Is that an amendment?
That was an amendment.
I'll second it.
There's a motion and a second to amend the main motion to support the
fees.
The support in concept and support the fees. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Mr. Macbeth? Okay. Discussion on the item. I'll throw out, fees thing. Neutral's a smart way to go. And talk about it later after the amendments are made that we're talking about are clearly coming. Go ahead.
On the amendment, I think this unfunded mandate, which is what this is too much for us to bear, and I think that we should support the fees there, and maybe somewhere down the road with the governor's office, maybe he'll make an exception or something like that, but I've got to support the fees attached to this as proposed.
All right, so there we go. Any further discussion before we proceed to vote on the amendment to the, yes, go ahead. Commissioner Cowan.
I think we need to get the bill, but I don't think the sportsmen should have to pay for this. And we need to convey that to the governor one way or the other. My concern is if we pass the first motion, that we tie the commission's hands and the committee chairman's hands in our position is then we're neutral on the fees. Then you can't go down to the legislature and testify, well, yeah, we would really like the fees, because the commission has said we're neutral on them. So I'm inclined to go with the fees.
Right. So I'm just trying to. Is that like an amendment to the amendment?
No, that's
to
just
state
discussion.
That, okay. I'm just trying because that you would be asking to. I'm just trying to think of another way of stating some of this previous stuff, and that might be support in concept, but don't want sportsmen to be stuck with paying for it.
Mr. Chairman, I believe he's saying that he supports the motion that was made on the amendment.
Correct.
That would support the bill in concept and including the fees.
And including these fees, or just including the sportsmen not being put on the?
Oh, the fees that were included in the original bill.
Okay.
The amendment is.
So you're supporting the amendment. Okay. Does everybody understand? Right now we'd be voting to amend the main motion so that the main motion would then read support in concept, including the fees. Okay. Everybody understand that motion? And then we'd just be voting on the amendment to amend the motion. Everybody understand that? All in favor of that motion to amend, signify by raising your hand here. And Commissioner Macbeth?
Yes, I in Las Vegas.
Okay, so that's you pass unanimously, 8-0 to amend the motion. We now have a motion on the floor to support in concept, including fees for AB 307. Everybody understand the motion as amended? All in favor of that, signify by stating aye.
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 All opposed? This passes 7-0. Okay. Let's go on here. AB 322.
Yes, sir. Legislative Committee
Can you
opposed.
speak up, please, Commissioner Capurro? I can't hear you.
The Legislative Committee, when we met, opposed AB 322 as it was written. And the reasons are basically...
Please keep down in the back of the room, please.
Basically, because of Section 2, which basically takes out the commission from the process of providing names to the governor for the director, and for Section 4, which is tied in actually to Section 1, that would essentially eliminate my position with respect to the commission. At least that was the intent. My indication is that I meet even the newest iteration of what the conservationist member is and needs to have. So I'm not as concerned about Section 1 as I am about Sections 2. Section 3 is also problematic for the committee because that changes the dream tag thrust from the commission to the director, and basically doesn't have any provision for oversight on how that's done. I would find it strange that another bill, AB 548, which is an education bill, which my understanding is that the administration is supporting, uses basically the same wording in Section 7 that we do with respect to the appointment of the director to the Wildlife Commission. It says that the director is appointed by the governor from a list of 3 candidates submitted by the state board and serves at the pleasure of the governor. Kind of goes counter to what some of the testimony was given at the assembly hearing, and yet some of those same principles are supporting this bill here. So I guess my point is this, that we've already indicated that it was not the intent of the commission not to address the dream tag situation. And in fact, the action that you've taken and discussed today has indicated we want to get to it as soon as we possibly can. Secondly, even several of the cabs had indicated that they had problems with that provision of Section 2, which is the appointment process. Both Washoe County and Clark County questioned that Section 2 provision, and Clark County questioned Section 3. Washoe County opposed Section 4 along with Section 2. That's directly from their minutes. Eureka County just said no. They were opposed to Assembly Bill 322. So we're getting some mixed things. I think there were some other minutes too, and you may, Commissioner Cavan may be able to tell me what Douglas...
There was, as far as I know, the rest of them, there was no action.
Right, there were several of them.
Carson City was a yes for the entire bill, evidently.
Right.
Eureka was a no. Yes. White Pine and Lincoln were a no action.
Some of them were split.
And then Clark and Elko.
My opinion is that the committee, when they addressed this bill, which was the day, actually the day of the hearing, and both Chairman Lent and myself testified with respect to the bill, as did the chairman of the commission, in opposition to it in the way it was written. I'm going to suggest to you that there is nothing that would be lost if this bill doesn't make it through the legislative process. We still will have the dream tag in place, ready for the commission to act on regulations. We still would have a conservationist member of the commission, even by the new definition. And the several cabs and individuals have indicated to me that they're not comfortable with having strictly the commission dealing with the, not comfortable with the idea of the nominating process the way it is proposed in 322. So my motion on this bill would be to oppose, as the committee did, oppose AB 322 as it is currently written.
All right, there's a motion, a second on the floor to oppose AB 322 as currently written. I'll just make a couple brief comments. One is I know it was stated by people introducing the bill that a portion of the reason for the third section was because this commission had chosen not to take action, when indeed that happened. I can totally say that's not been the case whatsoever. And I can most certainly assure them, if they were present or if they do here, that we will indeed, the second we see draft regulation, we'll take action on that draft regulation. And, you know, we might turn down that draft regulation, we might want to change, we might do a lot of things, but the second we see draft regulation, I as chairman, and I hope whoever follows me, will not strike it from the agenda. It's not going to be backdoored. It's not going to be slammed down outside of the meeting. It'll happen in an open and public meeting. Second we see draft regulation, we'll take action on it. And transparency is the main thing about the first couple sections of it. Hey, we need to keep this as open and public as we can, and that's what we try to do here. So, therefore, I completely agree with the motion. Commissioner Beth, anything on this?
Yes, I have a comment. It would be my position that Section 2 of the bill, that we should support it. I think it's very, very important that we have a true conservation representative on the commission that represents the conservation community.
Section
I
1?
very, very strongly feel that you need to be more than a dues-paying member to the Sierra Club or to the Isaac Walton League to be able to be a conservation rep. You need to really show that you are active in conservation, and any argument that is made that a sportsman is also a conservationist should be rejected. That puts just a sixth sportsman on the commission, and we don't really have a true conservationists on the commission, and that's exactly what we have right now. And so I very much want to support Section 2 of the bill.
Is that section?
I'm on the fence.
Can I clarify that? Is that Section 1 you mean?
I'm sorry. Yeah, Section 1 of the bill. I apologize. Section 1. With regard to Section 2, I'm on the fence on this one. This one is, if you read the statute the way it reads right now, the commission sends in 3 nominations to the governor, but the very next sentence states that the director serves at the pleasure of the governor. So, we can go through some gyrations of, commission, giving nominations, and then the governor, okay, I'll pick one, and then they're going to fire him the next day. I mean, it just seems crazy the way this thing is written right now. I do hear, though, very strongly the comments from the cabs and others with respect to a situation where, while I don't think we have that situation with this governor, that we could have a governor who could just appoint a director that would not be in the best interest of sportsmen. And so I do understand, that issue. On the other hand, though, the governor, the director sits on the governor's cabinet, and from a standpoint of, an executive, the governor being the top executive position, it seems to me that he should have a very substantial say in who sits on his cabinet. And so, that's why I'm on the fence, is that I can see both sides to the argument here. And so, I don't know. I don't know if we, just go ahead and accept Section 2, or if we maybe offer an amendment of the language. And as to number 3, I feel very strongly on this one that the just like all other tags, that the dream tag should stay with the commission. So I guess I'm worried about number 2, but I feel very strongly about Section 1, and so I think what I'd like to do is offer an amendment to the motion to recommend Section 1 and not recommend Sections 2 and 3. And because I'm on the fence on 2, I'm basically going to go with my cab and with that one.
And nothing on 4? Your motion.
And so that goes with number 1. So accept number 4 as written.
And number 5. Better flip that and open.
And accept number 5 as written.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that we've got this amendment. That would be to accept Section 1, say no on Sections 2, Sections 3, yes on 4. Was it yes or no on 5?
Yes.
Yes on 5. That's the amendment.
That's correct.
Second.
Okay, that's the amendment, and it has a second. Any discussion on that amendment?
I have some further discussion, Scott, if you...
Okay, go ahead.
I'm wondering, since this bill deals directly with the conservation seat, I'd like to hear from council as to the propriety of Commissioner Capurro voting on, at least on the Section 1 portion. The Section 1, 4, and 5 portion, I would probably better state.
All right, let's give it a minute.
Commissioner Macbeth, can you repeat your question?
My question is that Section 1 of AB 322 deals with the conservation seat on the commission. That is a seat held by Commissioner Capurro. Is there any type of a conflict of interest with him voting on a bill that is basically directed at his seat?
Commissioner Macbeth, this is new. As you know, we have a Matt Deal, Deputy Attorney General, filling in for Brian Stockton. He isn't here. He hasn't worked with the commission for, this is his introduction, and he's not familiar with all the statutes governing the Department of Wildlife. But for whatever it's worth, I do not believe there is a conflict. This is a bill like any other bill.
All right.
Okay, I just wanted to throw it out and make sure we had discussed it.
All right. And it would indeed, actually, most all of these bills would affect all commissioners. So, I mean, we're all affected somewhere or other, and all Nevadans for that matter, in some manner. Okay, Mr. Vice Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I would oppose this amendment because I think that's kind of superfluous to have an amendment here where we're going to define one position. I think Ms. Macbeth and myself, as sportsman's rep, we should redefine our position, not just to have a hunting and fishing license, because the bear people can go buy a hunting and fishing license and say they're a sportsman and belong on this commission. I think they should redefine our position to say we're sportsmen and we must have actively obtained or tried to get a tag, even or at least entered the drawing and tried to get a tag, or at least prove that we hunted to be sportsman's rep. To say that you have a hunting and fishing license, I don't think says we're a sportsman. So redefining one position, not the other, I think is really ludicrous. And so there's a definite purpose to this, what they're trying to do, and I think that's wrong, and that's why I'll be voting against the amendment.
Absolutely, and we should mandate that all sportsmen's representatives, your sportsmen, have to get tags to prove that every year, right? Oh, I'm just throwing out. I mean, that's the next amendment. That's the next thing. Yeah, as far as I can see, this commission, every member of this commission, the past commission before this commission, and probably people before that, all are conservationists. I've seen that. I have not met a member of County Advisory Board that I thought was not a conservationist. There's probably a couple out there. I don't remember meeting one. But so if anybody has more representation than any other group, I would say would probably be the conservationists amongst us. And I would definitely count myself amongst them. But that's
question.
Definition. Matter of definition. So, we have a motion to amend on the floor. Everybody understand that? Motion to amend? All in favor of the amendment to the motion, signify by stating, by raising your hand here in the room. All opposed here in the room? Okay, and on the phone?
In Las Vegas, yes on the amendment.
Okay, motion fails 2-5. We have Commissioner Wallace and Commissioner Macbeth voting in favor. And other 5 opposed. All right, now we're back to the main motion, and that motion was to
oppose AB 322 as written.
Oppose AB 322 as written, and that had been moved. There was a motion, a second on the table on that. It was a motion by Commissioner Capurro and seconded by Commissioner Shrum. Does everybody understand the main motion? All in favor of that motion signify by, raise your hands. All opposed?
No in Las Vegas.
No in Las Vegas. That motion passes 7-6 to 1. The one no vote would be Commissioner Macbeth. All yes, voted in favor. We stand opposed to AB 322 as written. Let's move on to AB 329, wild horses. 7-2. Give us the rundown.